Hello, everyone. This is Renee Nadia with Living Beyond Limits. I'm so excited that you joined us today. We have an exciting broadcast for you today. We have a guest, attorney Lakan Simone, who has joined us today. And the topic for today is secrets to winning against opposition. Lakan, I'm so excited that you joined us today. Thank you. It's an honor to have you here with us today. Thank you. And before we get started, look, you know what I'm about to say, everybody. You know, you're here, you're watching, hit the subscribe button, and while you're there, hit the like button. We truly believe that's going to be a blessing to you. And in order for you to stay on top of what we have going on and you want to stay tuned, you want to subscribe. You don't want to miss any of this. Okay, I'm going to get started, Lakan, and I want to read some of your bio before we delve into the topic. You are a first-generation immigrant from Nigeria, and you were raised in New Jersey. You're also a first-generation college student and graduate. And you became the first person in your family to be in law enforcement, followed by law school. Additionally, you are the first in your firm's law firm practice group to be hired directly from law school. And you're also the only African American in your group. Now, I read your bio. There's something that you did not. I've known I've known Lakan for a long time, and there are a couple things, Lakan, that you didn't put in your bio that I am going to share. You were a police officer, as we mentioned, and you had never shot a firearm in your entire life, and you were the top marksman in your class. So, I mean, that's amazing. And in addition to that, your bar exam, you received a score, and forgive me because I don't know the proper word. I tried to do a search before we got on this interview, and you received a score where it means that you can practice above and beyond on the normal practice, you know, in different states, you know, or around the world or the different countries or something like that. And you can share that with me. But the case, what I'm trying to say is you received a particular score that was outstanding and above and beyond. So, Lakan, thank you for joining us. I'm excited. I have to say that I am proud of you because I do know you, and I've known you for several years, and I've seen you move, you know, from here to there during your career. So it's been very exciting, you know, to watch you. And I know we had a conversation at one time, and when you became a police officer, we were talking, and you said, "Yeah, I'm a police, but I don't want to be a police officer." And I'm like, "Huh?" And you know, and it didn't, you know, you became an attorney. So I was like, "Okay, wow, you know, this is awesome." So please, let's start off by please sharing with us what made you go from being a police officer to an attorney.
Yeah, I can do that. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Second, I just
Absolutely.
want to clarify one thing. I'm not the only African American in my practice group. I'm the
Okay.
only African American male in my practice group.
Got it.
I don't know if that makes much of a difference,
Got it.
but
No, that's
I just
fine.
want to
Thank
clarify.
you.
And in regards to the bar exam score, I scored high enough to practice in any UBE jurisdiction, which is any jurisdiction or state in the country that permits that allows you to be admitted using the bar exam scores, which is pretty much the overwhelming majority of them.
Awesome.
But yeah, so your question was what made me decide to go from being a law enforcement officer to becoming a lawyer. So I've always had an interest in law and politics, or at least law and policy. I think this originated back when I was in, I want to say high school, when I took a class called Boys Model Congress, I believe it was. And through that class, I was able to join a program in high school called Boy State, where we went to state university, and we just kind of learned a lot during that time that we were there. And I thought, during that time, I would be interested in law, or at least politics, or governance. So law school was always kind of in the forefront of my mind throughout college.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, law is one of those things where, access is not exactly perfect for people who look like us. So I figured that there would be a transitory period before law school, and so that's after college, but before law school. So I
Mhm.
didn't have the means to go directly. I decided to do something else, law adjacent. My original intention was to do the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, but that didn't pan out. I actually had an interview with them, but when I had an interview with the DEA, it was also the same time that I was in a police academy, and anyone who's in a law enforcement area or arena knows that they can be it can be a bit, I don't know how to explain it, but essentially I had to stick with the law enforcement route. And I knew that was that was going to be for a limited amount of time. So I went in full steam ahead, but with the, law school still at the forefront of my mind. And while I was working as a police officer, I was studying for law school. So it just kind of was always there.
And I asked that because it's a lot that goes into certain fields, any field that most field professional fields, and it's a lot that goes into being a police officer. And I just only know this by the chats I've had with you, watching you, and basically things we already automatically know about careers and things like that. And I'm thinking it takes a lot to go, and then you had a lot to go into law school. So that's why I asked that. These are not easy fields to go into. You're going from one place that a tough place to go into another career. But and that's why I ask, but that's awesome and amazing. So our topic for today is secrets to winning against opposition. And it's funny because when I pick topics, I really look at the individual and I ask God, what would be a good topic for this person? And when and most everybody has agreed when I sent it. And when I sent this to you, I didn't even see the word opposition in your bio till after I sent you the topic and getting confirmation that you were okay with it. So during your career, at different points, share with us some of those secrets that you have discovered that really worked when you were up against opposition during the time, from starting into your career up to today. Give us a couple of start off with one, and what's one of the things that you can share?
So when I think of opposition or adversity, I think adversity can come in many forms. Excuse me. I think adversity can come by way of some sort of personal conflict or internal conflict, or it could come in a form of
Mhm.
systemic conflict. And I think, as individuals, we're all different humans. People's reactions or the way that they overcome or cope with adversity can vary depending on a person. So, like,
Mhm.
for example, and like you said, going to the police academy is not easy, and that is in and of itself, and that's a challenge and adversity, some would say. But I also, I think some people look at adversity and that can invoke feelings of stress or fear, whereas other people can look at adversity as an opportunity to grow. And I think
Mhm.
that's one way that to, that's one way that I've learned to overcome adversity. And after some time, I've realized that many challenges that I've faced have cultivated me into the person that I am today. So I like
Mhm.
to think of it like going to the gym. The results won't come easy, and it requires being uncomfortable. So I think, once you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, things get a lot easier. The point is, a person's particular outlook on a situation can be immensely important. So going into the police
Mhm.
academy, I wasn't fearful. Of course, I was nervous and I was apprehensive, but I looked at it as an opportunity to grow myself, to hone my discipline, learn a different life. And I jumped full steam ahead, and I came out on the other side for the better. And that's
Mhm.
usually the case for every new challenge that I've come across or challenges that I've faced in the past. If I shift my outlook from the negative connotation to a positive and welcome adversity, I think my experience within it, or at least going through it, will be a lot more different than being apprehensive or fearful of the challenge.
Mhm. What do you think helped you to get to the point where you welcome adversity? Because I will tell you this, most times people don't want to welcome adversity. Most people want to stay away from adversity. You know what I mean? Human nature makes us, not want to have challenges, not want to go through difficult times, not want to have doors closed, in our face when we're pursuing our dreams and our goals. So what would you say? How do you change your mindset? in situations like that. So you can feel like, you know what, adversity is good, because everybody doesn't see it that way. What are some, points or things that you would share, suggestions for people, to have their mindset change so that they don't have to see adversity as a bad thing, and something positive?
I think for me, it's largely due to my upbringing. As you mentioned earlier when we started, I wasn't raised in this. I mean, I was raised here, but I was born in Nigeria, and I grew up seeing much worse than what's here, comparatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen adversity. I've seen family members who've gone through, adverse, some real tough challenges, not taken away from anyone on, over here in America, but I've seen some really
Mm-hmm.
bad situations, and I've seen people go through some really terrible situations. And even
Mm-hmm.
over here, being a first generation immigrant with my family that came over here and had to establish a new life for themselves, I've watched my parents day in and day out go through, and do things that they don't want to do just because they have to provide for their children. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, for me, the way I look at adversity is, these are good problems to have. Obviously like I said, adversity comes in many different forms. It could be internal or external factors. But I,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, I've been blessed to have good problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to law school, going to police academy, so on and so forth. Those are good problems to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from that capacity and looking at my past and seeing what people have gone through in my past, I think
Mm-hmm.
I think I think I just look at myself as an opportunist,
Mm-hmm.
taking advantage of the situation that I have, and just going forward with a positive outlook. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's something that's changed. I think that's just I don't think this is something that's changed at any particular point or transitioned in any point in my life. I think I've just always been this way. I've
Mm-hmm.
always just put my
Mm-hmm.
best foot forward and never really looked at a challenge as a negative thing. But then again, like I said, I've always been blessed to have good challenges, not bad challenges, whatever those may be.
Yeah, and I think part of it is too, and not taking, just kind of taking it a step further, because of the way that you think. You don't, the challenges that you face, like you said, don't seem as difficult, but for someone else, that same challenge could be like a huge mountain.
Yeah.
So it's definitely your perspective. And I have to say too, because of the way that a lot of times we could be raised, and things we see, it does make us press harder, when we're probably raised a certain way or we weren't as privileged as someone else.
Hmm.
So that definitely is a good point, and but there are people who, again, can be faced with a certain challenge, and they say, "Hey, I've got this, and I'm going to overcome it." But then you have somebody else with the same exact challenge, who just may say, "Look, I can't handle this."
Hmm.
So, what would be your suggestion, like to someone who would say, Lakin, I'm trying to get this particular job, or I have this dream, like to really start this business, but I just feel like doors are closing, and I feel like I can't pass this test or this exam, or they're asking me to do this, that, and the other, and I can't envision myself doing it. I think I'm going to fail. What if someone comes to you with that type of conversation? What would you tell them?
Well, I think for somebody that's trying to accomplish a goal and they're facing some drawbacks or some challenges along the way, I my best advice for people like that is to find a mentor, or to find a community. I think another way to face and overcome adversity is by being receptive to help and surrounding yourself with a village that's supportive of you. And I'm sure everyone would like to feel like they've accomplished something very difficult on their own, but
Mhm.
rarely do you see like truly successful people without a team backing them up. And I think it
Mhm.
can come in many different forms. It can be familial support, um, or even searching for mentors who are doing exactly what you want to do in the field that
Mhm.
you are in. And a supportive community can also come from your place of religious practice, whether that's a church or a mosque, and it could even be your gym community. But I think I definitely put place a great value on finding mentorship, especially as, you know, minorities, Black and brown people. For a lot of us, we're the trailblazers in our families, and we don't know what comes in the next step. And it's hard to predict what you should be doing, or, you know, what's going to come. So I think mentors, you know, that's the value of having a mentor, you know, someone who can tell you, you know, at this stage, this is what you should be doing, or at this stage, this is what I did, and this is how you can do it better. So I think
Mm-hmm.
something that's an invaluable resource that people should take advantage of, is finding a mentor.
Definitely. I totally agree. What about perspective? What do you think? Because I find that many people who are sitting on their dreams and goals, they feel like they know what it is that they want to do or desire to do, but it's like they make excuses for not moving forward. And I believe it has a lot to do with perspective. What do you think if you could put it in words, what do you think an individual's perspective needs to be changed from to in order to start moving in a direction so that they can, conquer, their dreams and goals and move ahead?
Well, I think, I mean, I don't want to be abrasive or anything, but for a lot of times, I would ask that person, how bad do you really want it? I think
Mm.
um, for a lot of us who aren't strangers to adversity, those of us who haven't, you know, who are used to not having the easiest journey, you know, you eventually become fortified mentally, spiritually, physically. You learn to become disciplined. And, you know, for me, like, I've learned to become tenacious and unrelenting in my goals. But now I also recognize, you know, one of my close friends is extremely lazy, and he's just as capable, if not more capable than I am. But, you know, I just don't think everyone is built the same, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
But I do think, you know, if someone is having trouble picking themselves up and attacking their goals, I think they have to do some internal searching and maybe pick up some skills that's going to hone their discipline. And it could be just, you know, doing one thing at a time, taking it one step at a time, writing down your goals. You know, I tell a lot of mentees, you know, if you have a particular goal, you don't write down, oh, step one, apply to law school. Step two, get into law school. No, there are a lot of steps that come before step one. You know, a lot of people write down a goal that's going to take a year to get to or a month to get to, and they'll write it down as like one step thing. Whereas, you know, there are many steps. There could be 50 steps that come before, you know, apply to law school. You have to research the law school. You have to determine what kind of practice area you want to do. Same thing with, you know, going to the police academy. Some people may think the first step is getting into the police academy, but no, that's not necessarily the truth. Number one, you have to apply. Number two, you have to take a physical fitness test to make sure that you even qualify for it. Then you have to take a mental test. Then you have to take a psych test. Then you have to go through the police academy, and that's if you don't have a department police academy. Once you go through the police academy, you do firearms training, vehicle training, all that stuff. And then, you know, maybe if you pass the academy, then you become a police officer. So I think what I'm trying to say is that, you know, someone can break down their objectives down into smaller tasks, something that's much more easier to digest and accomplish.
Mhm.
Because sometimes it's a
Mhm.
matter of someone being able to cross off something on their list and say, oh, look, this is what I got done. I'm able to see that things are being done, and that is progress. So that can be a motivating factor to continue to press on.
Mhm. And I agree 100% with the motivating factor, because I believe if you don't have something written down and you don't have a plan, you're not going to start,
Right.
and I truly believe that. That's good stuff. So have you dealt with anyone, being a mentor, um, who did not, you felt like, I don't know how to tell them, but this may not be for them? And the reason why I ask, because you said something, right? And I want to do, and I know this is going to be another broadcast. I truly believe that, I know you said somebody was lazy, but I truly believe a lot of times what happens with people is that because I believe everybody has a God-given gift. Yes, some people are sitting on it because we could use the term lazy. But however, I believe there are so many people who are just not operating in their gift. Like they have they're maybe a lawyer, but they should be a doctor. Maybe they're opening up a bakery shop when they should be a landscaper. That's their God-given gift. And I think that people get stuck sometimes in situations like that, and then they feel like a failure, when actually you're not a failure. You're just not operating in your God-given gift. So have you ever ran across anyone that you felt like, you know what, bro, like, hey sis, this, I just feel like maybe something else is for you? And have you seen that possibly where you felt like, this is not for that person, maybe there's something else they should be doing?
Um, Off the top of my head, I can't think of any time that I've told someone that their career is not for them. I
Mm-hmm.
do have friends who have expressed to me that, they're in a line of career or in a line of career that they're not particularly fond of. One of my close friends, actually, the other day, we were on a phone conversation, and, we had a situation, unfortunately, that made him realize this. But we were roommates throughout college, and he's always been one of the smartest. He still is one of the smartest people that I know, but he decided not to go to med school. And he's been running a business for his dad for a couple years now. But, we're 10 years, almost, well, I would say maybe 8 years out post college graduation. And, he's just now expressing that he is dissatisfied with his life, and he wants to do a complete 360 and, go after his goals, but not necessarily the goals that everybody's already kind of, everybody tells him, well, you're so smart, you should have been a doctor, and, so on and so forth. Also the familiar pressure, obviously foreign families, they always want us to be lawyers, doctors, and presidents. But,
Mm-hmm.
he's changing, he's doing a complete 180, being intentional in what he does every day, what he puts into his body, what he reads. He goes on daily walks, and he has, goals. I'm forgetting what the question is.
It's
But
okay.
I
It's
think
okay.
personally,
Good.
I've never told anyone that they should change a career because something isn't meant for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I have had friends who have made complete career changes. I have another
Mm-hmm.
friend who was a producer on a, daily one of those late night shows. And she left to become an author. Um, and like I said, my friend that is running a liquor store business for his dad is now looking to change and go into tech. So yeah, I'm all
Mm-hmm.
for it. I would never tell anyone not to change the career for someone who's changed their career several times.
Yeah. No, and no, you were right on point. That question had come up while you were talking earlier, and then when we started, I couldn't. Then I was like, there it is. So no, that was perfect, because again, I want to do a podcast on that, because people can operate years and years in something just because their parents told them, said they should, just because that's was something they just picked out of a hat at the time, because they figured they had to work,
Hmm.
and not understanding that we have God-given gifts inside of us. And I believe that happens to so many people, which probably happened to the person that you were talking about. Like, I've worked in my parents' liquor store. Why? Because they needed help, and I can make money that way. I'll just go in there and help them.
Yeah,
And then something happens, because this is what happened to me. Something happens on the inside, and you're not satisfied.
right.
You feel like something is missing. So no, that was good. And I'm going to do a broadcast on that soon. But thank you. Thank you. That was good. Go ahead. Were you going to say something on it
No, I
again?
wasn't.
Yeah. So now, lastly, I want to ask you, what is next for attorney Simone?
I think right now, because I haven't given much thought to it right now, I'm just kind of existing in the space that I'm in currently. I am trying to just kind of learn the practice that I'm in. It's a very rigorous practice and very challenging. So I think right now I'm really just kind of focusing on developing my practice and developing a business, or at least just kind of getting my feet in the water, or at least that's what I've been doing recently. As far as what is next, I haven't put too much thought into it. It seems, I mean, professionally, if we're speaking professionally, I think The trajectory is definitely to keep on doing what I'm doing right now as far as entertainment law, corporate entertainment law. I have fun doing what I do, and it's a privileged spot. It's a privileged position because, as I mentioned, there aren't a lot of people that look like me that do what I do. So it is a coveted position. I plan on staying in that position for a while, at least until something better comes along. And
That's great. That's great.
I think establishing a lifestyle that I envision for myself is definitely top priority. Traveling more, becoming, also like as an adult now, kind of establishing more of a foothold back home, using the opportunities that I have over here, the opportunities that's been granted to me over here, and using that to my advantage and taking it back home to Nigeria and my family.
That's awesome. And you know what? That's one of the reasons why I asked you to be on this program, because on this program, we have guests that are concerned about other people. They want to pour into other people, and they love people. So yes, you all have, and you have an amazing career, but the biggest thing and the most amazing thing about you is that you love people and you want to pour into other people. So thank you, Lakin. I'm excited for you. Again, I've watched you for many years. And the one thing that I love about you is that you have fortitude and you don't give up on things and you keep moving. And that's what, I truly want for other people who feel like, they don't have that, but they can have that. And you were a great encouragement. So thank you. You'll see all the information that you need in order to connect with us. Lakin, again, thank you. We're going to have you back once you become, I think, an ambassador. We'll talk about that later. I think how we had that conversation. It's coming down the road. I know it's coming down the road. Anyway, love you guys. Be blessed. Until next time. Peace.
Bye.